right?
Yeah,
All right.
I like it.
All right. So you're ready over there, Kim?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. And thank you for your very quick quieting down. That was amazing. We weren't even quite ready for you. Welcome. Before I officially call this meeting to order, I will just run through our agenda just so that we're all on the same page about what we have going on this evening. First, I'll officially welcome the Scouts when I call the meeting to order. So we'll come back to you to give you an official word of welcome. We do have some resident speakers who are signed up to speak, so we'll be starting with those. We do have one posted public hearing for 8 p.m. this evening. This is on Order 36, a National Grid petition. And anyone interested in signing up to speak in the public hearing will be able to come up and do that. There's a sign-up sheet here in front of Ms. Kent on the city clerk's desk. And you can add your name at any point during that hearing. And then we have some routine business to take care of. We will take a brief break for some subcommittee work, and then we'll be back to wrap that all up. So with that, I will officially call to order this regular meeting of the Beverly City Council, Monday, February 5th, 2024, 7:00 p.m. Ms. Kent, will you please call the roll?
Bowen?
Here.
Crowley?
Here.
Feldman?
Here.
Hausman?
Here.
Rotundo?
Here.
Spang?
Here.
St. Hilaire?
Here.
Sweeney?
Here.
And Flowers.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Kent. Councillor Spang, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councillor Spang, and thank you, everybody. I want to take just a few moments to acknowledge some of our city staff who are here with us this evening. Our City Grants Director, Catherine Barrett, is here with us. Thank you very much, Ms. Barrett. As well as our City Solicitor, Stephanie Williams. Thank you, Ms. Williams, for being here with us this evening. And Ward 6 School Committee member, Lorinda Visnick, is here, although not in your familiar spot. So you really threw me off, but thank you for being here with us, Ms. Visnick. And as promised, an official word of welcome to some of our Scouts. This is Troop 49, is that right? So welcome. We always love having our local Beverly Scouts join us, and thank you for being here with us for the meeting. You're at an exciting one because this is our very first meeting with some new technology, and so you can evaluate how you think we do. Every counselor is now in charge of your own destiny with muting and unmuting your mic. And so we might have a bit of a learning curve, but you all can give us some feedback later. And Scouts, feel free to stay as long as you would like, and at any point that you need to head home to do some of the other things I know you have to do, please feel free. Thanks for being here with us. So with that, we'll go right to our first resident speaker, Mr. Paul Treffry. I would invite you to come to the podium, begin with your name and address for the record. And just before you get going, Mr. Treffry, just for all those who may be watching or following along, I'll remind us all that, as I always do, this section of our meeting is a portion of the meeting available at every regular council meeting. There are up to 3 spots for comments from residents, and each resident can speak for up to 5 minutes. You can sign up for one of the 3 spots by contacting the city clerk no later than 9:30 the morning of the meeting, and the spots are first come, first serve. And so if there are already 3 speakers, the clerk will let you know that the next meeting will be available. It's not a time when you'll hear the council be speaking back and forth with the speakers, because it is not a question and answer or an interactive portion. But as I always say, it's still really, really important. We really value having residents come and speak, and it does inform our later discussions. Councillor Sweeney, I'm looking at Councillor Crowley and saying Councillor Sweeney. Vice President Crowley, would you mind keeping time for us? So when you hear Councillor Crowley's timer, if you would just draw to a close if you're not already done. Mr. Treffry, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Paul Treffry, 43 Glidden Street. I just want to preface myself. I am not representing any public body tonight, just a private citizen. But my only intention is to answer a question that Councillor Feldman asked during a subcommittee meeting of the Finance and Property. The meeting was back on June 6th, and I was moved by the question. That evening, Councillor Feldman asked Michael Collins of DPS about Building 45 at the airport. She asked a two-part question. Number one, how much additional money will it take to finish the construction of Building 45 at the airport? And the second portion, does the current condition of the building impact the ability to lease it out to somebody else? Mr. Collins only answered the second half of that question. I was very interested myself about the cost, what it would take to finish Building 45. I contacted a developer, Tom Ford, who built the Excelis Logistics Center, and he put me in touch with a construction firm named Neelan Construction of Medford, Mass. The three of us met at Building 45. We went through the building, and Mr. Neelan went off to make his estimate. Just to let you know that this summer, the FAA required the city to inform them of how much money was spent refurbishing the DPS property, carpenter shops, which you signed or approved the lease last month, and how much they spent on Building 45. They came back and told the FAA that to date, the city has spent $610,000 on Building 45. And if you've been to the building, you know a little over 1/3 of it is finished. So I will tell you that the estimate that came back from Neelan Construction to finish it as it is right now, and not even as a restaurant, but just to close it all up and make it, a possible office space, the estimate was an additional $670,000, making that building at the airport possibly a $1.3 million building. I will tell you that it is a building that nobody really wants. The Airport Commission in 2015 was about to tear it down. They evicted 6 businesses from that building. I will tell you, 12 months ago, in a meeting that I had with the mayor in his office, he said, "Paul, we should have bulldozed Building 45," and I agreed. And even in September, when the new airport manager, Mr. Hannafin, showed up, Mr. Perry went out to the airport and he asked him, he said, "So what's your vision for Building 45? And Mr. Hannafin even said, "Well, I would like to see it tore down, we put hangars there and redevelop the space or do something." So here we are with a building that is in limbo. And there are projects, and again, I don't speak for the Airport Commission, but I was at their meeting in January, and there's extensive conversations going on about funding other projects. Top of the list is the $15 million reconstruction of the main runway. 95% of that's going to be paid by the federal government or the state. The city and the airport is required to pay for 5%. The city is aware of that, and they're making plans for that. Like many other cities with airports are doing right now as well. But they also are talking about the fencing around the airport is in bad shape. It needs to be repaired. And to replace the entire fencing, it would be about $1 million. Most of that money normally comes from Mass DOT, but the state is having some revenue issues, as we're all aware. So the airport last month was discussing, well, maybe we can pay for some of this ourselves, maybe over a 5 or 6 year period. But I'm just giving you an example, trying to envision spending $600,000 to finish Building 45 is problematic. And as far as getting somebody else to come in, a private business, to put up $600,000, the lease agreement that you would have to allow the company to recoup that expenditure, the airport probably would not see any cash flow for 10 to 20 years. So we're in a little bit of limbo. I just wanted to answer that question that you posed back in June, and the number was $670,000 as it stands today. So that's all I've got. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I look forward to speaking in the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Treffry. Thank you for your time as well and for being here with us. The other resident speaker that I have listed for this evening is Paul Hansen-Mitev. Is that right? Okay. So similarly, you have up to 5 minutes to address the council. If you would start with your name and address for the record, and if you hear Vice President Crowley's timer go off, if you would just draw your remarks to a close.
My name is Paul Hansen-Mitev. I live in Ward 6 on 25 Hine Street. At this time, I just wanted to give the city council an update and say that persons in the community who are very concerned about the ongoing war in Gaza and the tremendous loss of life that's occurring there and continuing to occur there have come together and spoken at more than one public meeting. We held one in Beverly Farms on Tuesday at the Beverly Farms Branch Library. We had another one yesterday at the downtown main library. And I do think it's important that as we go forward in this process that we're mindful of practicing good democratic principles, building consensus, and also making sure that everyone in the community who wants to share their input is able to do that. If I may just share some facts at this time with City Council in regard to the severity of the situation. When I first spoke in the middle of December, the death toll in the occupied territory of Gaza was approximately 15,000. It's now past 30,000, and that number is based on recovered bodies and then a calculation of about 7,000 to 8,000 people who are under rubble and not yet able to be recovered, at least not while hostilities continue. So the second thing is where grave concerns are emerging are with public health concerns. So there are over 50,000 individuals who have injuries, some of which are not being able to be attended to regularly by physicians or with the appropriate medical equipment, medical supplies. There's the concern with disease, the outbreak of disease, communicable diseases caused by the accumulation of human waste and poor contaminated drinking water, including serious issues like cholera and also diphtheria, and then communicable diseases like hepatitis. And then there's also the concern with the maintenance or care for illnesses, chronic illnesses and emerging illnesses. And then lastly, I do want to stress the concern in the public health community that specializes in mental health, that there's a serious mental health crisis emerging there, where there's a belief that there'll be not just lifelong trauma, but intergenerational trauma. So most likely there'll be a lost generation of children who are now suffering in Gaza. It's important to be mindful that right now there's increasing conflict in the Middle East. I'm sure all of you are keeping abreast of the news. So those people who are concerned with peace and know that something's being done in Beverly, they're people who are praying for peace, who are sharing their views with others. And it's important, I think, that we live in a community where we feel free to express our views and expect that those views be respected and that we show that likewise mutual respect to those who may disagree with us, however strongly. Other than that, we're still having tremendous difficulties getting prompt and meaningful responses from our federally elected officials, in particular Congressman Moulton. So I just was able to speak to members of his office today, and I think that they said that he'll gladly take any calls from any members of council, or if Mayor Kale wants to follow up with him after today's meeting, and he'll, I can't speak for him, but they assured me that he'll listen privately to the concerns that members of council may have. But that still means we're responsible as citizens to push him in the right direction, and that's why we're asking the help of City Council to do so with the ceasefire resolution. Somerville and Cambridge have passed theirs. Portland, the largest city in Maine, has passed theirs. Providence, the capital of Rhode Island, has passed theirs. Even Albany in the state of New York has passed theirs. And some small municipalities in the United States that are about comparable to Beverly have done likewise also. So we'll be sharing that information with you, Council President, and with the other council members also. Thank you kindly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Henson-Mitev, for being here with us and for your time as well. And if you do have information to share, if you would send it to the clerk as well, and that will help to ensure that it can get to all online counselors. Thank you. With that, we will go to acceptance of minutes of a previous meeting. And we have one set of meeting minutes that we can approve this evening. These are the minutes from our regular city council meeting from January 16th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0. Ms. Kent, let's go to communications from His Honor the Mayor, please.
Has worked in the city. Which is one of the factors. Among the group 1 and 4. Were hired as identified in group 2. Begin to view the job. Per act. April 2005. Voted in August 20. I respectfully
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $10,000 grant from the Mass Interlocal Insurance Association. This funding will be used to provide facility management, predictive and corrective maintenance training to our public services staff with the goal of preventing loss of service. Also, funds will be used to purchase a thermographic camera for use by the public services and engineering departments, which will be used to identify deficiencies in HVAC, roofs, installation, and electrical systems. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this grant by acting on this matter at your upcoming meeting, February 5th, 2024. Thank you. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 41. Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $8,500 grant from the Department of Fish and Game, Division of Marine Fisheries Clean Vessel Act Grant Program to support the free seasonal pump out boat service from Friday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The boat pump out service provides a safe, convenient, and environmentally responsible way for boaters to properly dispose of sewage. Pump out services provided the most effective means for emptying holding tanks and leads to improved water quality. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, gift, or donation to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose.
I therefore request the City Council approve this grant by acting on this matter at your upcoming meeting on Monday, February 5th. Thank you. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 42, dear Honorable City Council, as you are aware, the City of Beverly is a beneficiary of the National Opiate Settlement. The city has received a guidance from the Division of Local Services regarding the appropriate treatment of past and future distributions of this settlement to support the opiate-focused efforts within our community. In fiscal year 2023, the City of Beverly received a total of $107,019.86 in settlement funds, and as previously advised, the funds were deposited into the general fund and then thus certified as free cash as of June 30, 2023. I am requesting the $107,019.86 now be appropriated into a new opiate special revenue fund from the available certified free cash. All future revenues, including fiscal year 2024 receipts, will be placed directly into the special revenue fund and can be spent without further appropriation for purposes identified in the settlement agreement. Our team looks forward to sharing our plans for these funds and in an upcoming public hearing, which will be required prior to final City Council action on this matter. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 43, dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $26,500 grant from the National Environmental Health Association, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, Retail Flexible Funding Model Grant Program. This grant funding will enable Beverly Health Department to design a food safety program that best suits our needs to achieve conformance with the retail program standards. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, gift, or donation to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this grant by acting on that matter at your upcoming meeting. Thank you. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint, subject to review and recommendation, Christian Rivera of 392 Harvard Street, Dorchester, Mass., to serve as constable in the City of Beverly for the express purpose of serving civil process. Attached is Mr. Rivera's application, which has been approved by Police Chief John LaLatcher. Mr. Rivera's term will be effective until February 20, 2027. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. Let's go to communications from other city officers and boards, please.
Order number 45 from Council Rotundo, appointment letter for Kyle Kuyumajan to serve on the City of Beverly Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee as one of the 2 city council appointments.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 46, an order proposing amendments to city ordinances, Chapter 1, 7, 15, 26, 33, 58, 69, 105, 113, 124, 136, 155, 192, 210, 215, 227, 232, 249, 253, 274, 282, striking or amending provisions to modernize and clarify language, remove obsolete language and correct typos, recognize use of technology, ensure gender neutrality, achieve consistency with city charter provisions in state law or policy, and address constitutional concerns.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. Councilor Rotundo or Councilor Sweeney, is there anything that you'd like to say about this? This is your letter and your order that you're filing.
So if you're aware, we did this work. It was Councilor Sweeney and Councilor Rand was the chair at the time. Took several months reviewing the ordinances, a lot of assistance from the solicitor's office. We did run out of time, obviously, and so when it came time, we asked to at least present it to the council of the whole, accept it, and put it on file with the intent of reintroducing the same exact language so that we are able to adopt it. This is what basically this language is. Pretty much we reviewed it all. We gave actually every council a lot more time to review it, considering now we've had many weeks going forward. So what we're asking is that this is to be held on the floor, that the rule to be suspended. But that's where we're at with this.
Thank you. So you're asking that rather than send it back to Legal Affairs where it came out of, that we hold it in Committee of the Whole?
Correct.
Councilors, that can be done with a vote to suspend Rule 21-3. That requires a 2/3 vote. Sorry, Councilor Huston, I thought you were getting ready to say something. I would entertain a motion to suspend Rule 21-3.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Councilor Husband?
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify my understanding for the record that the changes that were made were not intended really to be substantive in terms of looking at deeply into the content of the provisions of the ordinance, but were primarily for purposes of correcting typos, removing obsolete language, ensuring gender neutrality, and so forth. Is that correct? To either Councilor Rotundo or the city solicitor or
The
Councilor
city
Sweeney?
solicitor looks ready to comment. Thank you, Solicitor Williams.
So there were multiple categories of changes which are identified in the order. There are some that are substantive, but they are in the minority. And in part, they were for purposes of assuring consistency with our new charter language and to basically eliminate some provisions of our ordinances that have or had, or have still, because we haven't amended it, potential issues with being constitutional. So those are the primary substantive changes. Beyond that, I would say most of them are not, but the plan, as we had discussed, would be that the law department, when the city council is prepared, would come in and do a presentation we would work around your schedule and try to keep it under whatever time limit you want and kind of go through the whole thing, sort of in the same way we did with the charter. So I think at that point, people would have an opportunity to ask questions and have an in-depth discussion about any concerns they might have about the substance of any changes.
Thank you, Solicitor. Councilor Husband, did you have any follow-up?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of, for the record, clarify my understanding that any substantive, that the intent was not to really do a deep dive into the substantive changes the council might want to consider going forward, other than things like constitutionality or consistency with the charter, that is really the primary thrust of the work that was done that might have been substantive in nature.
Thank you very much, Councilor.
So I appreciate the clarification.
Thank you. Any further discussion from councilors? We do have a motion and a second to suspend Rule 21-3. This is of the council rules. And this would allow us to keep Order 46 in committee of the whole rather than referring it back to legal affairs. This does require a 2/3 vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0, so that's easily more than 2/3. Thank you. And as you just heard the solicitor say, we'll work with the solicitor's office to schedule a time when we'll be able to walk through these in more detail. Let's go to communications, applications, and petitions, please, Ms. Kent.
Order number 47 from National Grid, petition 302-94623 to install electric conduits on Rantoul and Lennox Street and a new two-way manhole 935 on Lennox Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 48 from the National Grid, petition 306-65817 to install one SO pole on Lothrop Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 49 from National Grid, petition 308-67397 to install electric conduits on Cabot Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 50 from National Grid, petition 293-61213 to install one JO pole on Balt Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 51 from National Grid, petition 302-94624 to install one JO pole on Lennox Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 52, notice of availability, responses to public comments on partial phase 6 remedy information plan, parts 2 and 3 for 150 Sawyer Road, the old Berrien site.
I would entertain a motion to receive that and place it on file. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 53, the Department of Environmental Protection Waterways, regular program notice of application.
I would entertain a motion to receive that and place it on file as well.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Order number 54 from the Beverly's Farmers Market Board of Directors, request permission to hold the Beverly's Farmers Market on Lower Railroad Avenue and Park Street, June 10th through October 7th, 2024.
please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. Let's go to motions and orders. This is Order 16. This will be the first vote, first reading, first vote on Order 16. Do you want
I have
to
language here.
You want to read it?
Yes.
Sure.
Council
All right,
President?
Sure, Councilor Houseman.
Do you mind?
I do not. This is in your ward, and we had some conversation on this and getting it in the right spot for the residents, so please.
Yes, so Subcommittee on Legal Affairs in consult with the City Solicitor's Office worked out language to amend this order.
Thank you.
Which would be effective as we go through and do our various readings. So I would make a motion from the floor to amend order number 16 to read, add a handicap parking space at Columbus Avenue, comma, north side, comma, opposite approximately 1 Columbus Avenue.
So Councilor Houseman's making a motion to amend the language as he just read it. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, this is only on the amendment to the language which you just heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that's 9-0. And then, Ms. Kent, will you read it in its entirety? And this would be for a first vote as amended.
Order number 16-2024 be attained to the City Council of the City of Beverly as follows: in the year 2024, an ordinance amending an ordinance relative to Chapter 270 Vehicles and Traffic, Section 270-49 Off-Street Parking, Handicap Parking, amending Section 270-49 as follows. Add a handicap sign as amended, approved a handicap parking space at Columbus Avenue, north side, opposite approximately 1 Columbus Avenue. And this was in the newspaper on January 5th, 2024.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. So councilors, I'd entertain a motion to approve this first vote.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That will not be available for final passage until our next meeting, when we'll have the opportunity to hear it read again, and we will vote again. I would entertain a motion now to take a break for some committee work.
So moved.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, okay, I do have a second. Sorry, everybody, that was me. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. So we'll take a break for some committee work. We'll have finance and property stay here in chambers, please. Public services in the committee room, legal affairs on the bench. And as a reminder, we'll take about 15 minutes for this. Any substantive conversation we'll schedule into other weeks. Thank you, everybody.
Call to order the Committee on Finance and Property. Okay, so tonight I think we'll start with order number 40, but before I guess we start, maybe Ms. Barrett, would you mind introducing some of these grants? Order 40, 41, 43 are all grant related.
Thank you, Councilor Houseman. Catherine Barrett, I'm the Director of Grants for the city, and we have 3 grants on this particular agenda. I'll do a little information just for our guests who are learning tonight. The first grant is a $10,000 grant from Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association, and we applied for a grant for our Public Services Department. And we're going to be doing some training so we can avoid losses in certain situations with staff. And then we're also going to be getting a thermographic camera, which helps us identify deficiencies in roofing, electrical systems, and in addition helps save the city money. The next grant is an $8,500 grant from the Department of Fish and Game, and specifically the Division of Marine Fisheries. And this grant will be used to make repairs down on the Beverly Pier. We've been doing a 3-phased approach to that. We get a little bit of funding about every 2 years. We can apply for that grant. And so we're now in phase 3, and we're replacing the wood planks on the pier because the salt water and air tend to sort of damage those quicker than other locations. And it's really important that that pier be ADA accessible for all anglers and visitors. So that's a terrific project, and that's being led by our engineering department. And the third grant is a $26,500 grant from the National Environmental Health Association. This grant will benefit our health department, who is bringing our food safety program into compliance with retail program standards. And again, that's for our health department, making sure everyone's in compliance and not having any issues in that area. So those are the 3 grants this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So taking an order number 40, entertain a motion to approve a grant for $10,000 from the Mass Interlocal Insurance Association. So moved. Second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, I'm taking up order number 41, which is a grant for $8,500 from the Mass Department of Fish and Game. And it's in a motion to approve. So moved. Second. Any questions or discussion? Oh, go ahead.
It's just brief. Ms. Barrett, I feel like I remember a grant like this before. Is this an opportunity for us to get a recurring grant?
Yes, so this grant program, generally you can get funded every 2 years. So every 2 years we do apply. I actually write these grants for the Division of Marine Fisheries. And I did want to point out, none of the grants this evening have what's called matching fund requirements. So occasionally we have grants that require matching funds anywhere from 5%, sometimes up to 50%. And thankfully, none of these grants have matching fund requirements, which the city loves. So we don't have to use any city tax dollars for these particular projects unless there's multiple funding streams, like for a larger project or a capital project. So, yep. So we'll be applying 2 years from now to get this grant again.
Great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? 3-0. Order number 43 is a grant for $26,500, National Environmental Health Department. I would entertain a motion to approve. So moved. Second. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. 3-0. We'll move to order 21, which is the reappointment of Colleen Sarah to serve as Director of Human Resources. I entertain a motion to approve. So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Approved 3-0. Okay, I'd like to revisit Order 17. We had a meeting last week on this. This is the library HVAC. I'd like to move forward, as we discussed, with setting a public hearing on February 26th at 7:45 p.m. President Flowers, I have a letter from you requesting a special meeting. Are we compliant? Is this all we need?
Yes, so to be able to have a special meeting, which essentially is just a meeting of the full council that's on not a regular meeting night, it requires either the council president to request that meeting by letter, or 3 city councilors could call a special meeting by letter as well.
Okay. So with that, I would entertain a motion to set the public hearing on Order 17 for February 26th at 7:45 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Public hearing is set. And lastly, we have Order 42, a request to appropriate $107,000 into a opioid special reserve from free cash. We need a public hearing on this one as well, so I would entertain a motion to set a public hearing on February 20th at 7:30 PM.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is also set. So with that concludes our agenda. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Committee on Finance and Property.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.
Thank you very much.
just do it.
Thank you very much, everyone. Call the full council back to order. Thank you, subcommittees, for your work during that break. We do have, as I mentioned, a public hearing posted for 8 p.m. Members of the public who are here and planning to speak in that public hearing can come forward at any point and add your name to the sign-up sheet in front of Ms. Kent. And I will mention that that public hearing, we will be continuing that past this evening. I'll say more about this, but National Grid has asked for more time to be able to fully respond to some questions that have already come in. But we will start our reports from committees now. We'll pause at 8 if we are not done to pick up our public hearing, and then we'll resume. So, Ms. Kent, let's go to reports from committees, please.
Order number 25, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding an appointment for Mario Giacomi to serve as the Parks, Recreation, and Commission representative on the Open Space and Recreation Committee, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this appointment.
Are there questions or Councilor Rotundo?
Madam President, we had this discussion in legal affairs about Mario Giacomi and his role as a representative to the Open Space and Recreation Committee. He serves currently, and I want to make sure if Solicitor Williams can correct me if I'm wrong, that he is currently a member of the Open and Space Recreation Commission. Nope, see, this is why I've asked for her to come up and make sure to clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I
Solicitor.
may.
Yes, please.
So this letter is requesting that Mr. Giacomi be appointed to the Open Space and Recreation Committee. He is not on that committee right now. What I wanted to mention is that he also is not actually on the Parks and Recreation Commission. This appointment is being made under section 15-41 of the city ordinance, which among other things states that the mayor shall appoint 6 members, I'm paraphrasing, one of whom shall be a member of the Parks and Rec Commission. The ordinance goes on to say if a member of a particular board is not available, the mayor shall appoint a person with similar experience. Currently, there is not a member of the Parks and Rec Commission who is in a position to also serve on the Open Space and Recreation Committee. So this appointment would be pursuant to that alternative manner of appointing somebody. So I just, for the record, wanted to make it clear that notwithstanding the letter, this individual is actually not on the Parks and Recs Commission.
Thank you very much, Solicitor.
Like she said.
Thank you, Councilor Rotundo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there other questions or comments on this one? The question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0. And thank you to Mr. Giacomi for being willing to serve in that capacity.
The Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding an appointment for Carol Rain to serve on the Human Rights Commission, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this appointment.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0. And thank you very much, Ms. Rain. I know you've been very patiently waiting with us. Thank you for your willingness to be part of that committee.
Order number 33, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding an appointment for David Urshan, 50 Rantoul Street, to serve on the Community Preservation Committee as an at-large seat, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this appointment.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0. And Mr. Urshan was also here with us this evening. And so if he's home watching now, thank you, Mr. Urshan, for your willingness to serve.
Order number 39, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding a home rule petition regarding Group 2 retirement group classification of certain fire alarm operators and public safety telecommunicators, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 45, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an appointment letter for Carl Kuyumjian to serve on the City of Beverly Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee as one of the 2 city council appointments, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this appointment. And he told me he's called Carl K.
Thank you very much. And Counselor Rotundo, this requires 2 votes, if I'm correct. A vote to waive the residency requirement, and then a vote to appoint.
Correct.
So we'll take this as 2 separate votes. So the first vote is a motion to approve the vote to waive the residency requirement to allow him to be appointed to this committee.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0. The second is a motion to approve the recommendation to appoint him to the committee.
Second.
So moved.
That was very good. We had just an extra. Very well covered. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0. And thank you to Carl Kay for being willing to serve. And thank you, counselors, for your diligence in making sure we had motions and seconds.
Order number 54, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding Beverly Farmers Market. Board of Directors requests permission to hold the Beverly Farmers Market on Lower Railroad Avenue and Park Street, June 10th through October 7th, 2024. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
I'm assuming on finance they're all approved.
Yes.
Order number 40, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a grant for $10,000 from the MIA to provide facility management, predictive and corrective maintenance training to our public service staff. Consider said matter, beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 41, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a grant for $8,500 from Division of Fish and Game to support the free seasonal pump-out boat service. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 42, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a request to appropriate $107,019.86 into a new opiate special revenue fund from the available certified free cash. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Set a public hearing on February 20th at 7:30 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended for our February 20th meeting, 7:30 PM.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. So we'll set that public hearing for our next regular meeting, 7:30 PM.
Order number 23, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding a reappointment for Mr. William Loud to serve on the Beverly Golf and Tennis Commission. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this reappointment.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
That carries 9-0, and we'll pause there, Ms. Kent, for our 8 o'clock public hearing. Thank you.
Order 36, 2024, City of Beverly, ordered that the City Council of the City of Beverly have a public hearing on Monday, February 5th, 2024, at 8 PM at 191 Cabot Street, 3rd floor, Council Chambers. Relative to National Grid is to install a gas main in Carver Street from an existing main in Carver Street to the main replacement of Greg Street, as well as gas main in Kernwood Heights connecting 2 mains. And this was in the newspaper on January 26th.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. If there are members of the public here who would like to speak in the public hearing this evening, you can come forward at any point now and add your name to the sign-up sheet on the desk in front of the city clerk. We'll take speakers as they are signed up. This will not be the only night for this public hearing. I know not everyone was here when I said this, but National Grid actually had requested more time to respond more fully to questions that have already come in. I know Diana Cuddy, our National Grid rep, is here. Ms. Cuddy, I don't know if you want to be able to say anything by way of introduction of the project this evening.
Hi, good evening. Diana Cuddy, National Grid, 170 Data Drive, Waltham, Massachusetts. I was originally applied for a grant allocation to install 2 small segments of gas main on Kernwood Heights and on Carver Street to connect a main replacement project that's proposed for the future. We had some questions come in this morning, and I wasn't able to get complete answers. Everyone's either in training or what they were in the field, so I just need a little more time to, and what I thought I could do is just come here tonight, listen to what other questions the public has, and then go back and come back with a formal written reply to everything.
Thank you, Ms. Cuddy. Are there members of the public who hope to be able to offer comment this evening? So if you would, go ahead to the podium, and just for all our public speakers, if you would begin with your name and address for the record, and then Vice President Crowley will be our timekeeper, just to make sure that everyone gets equal time. You have up to 3 minutes to address the council. If you do hear his timer go off, you don't have to cut right off, but if you would draw your remarks to a close at that point, if you're not already done.
Sure, thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Dana Trudeau, Trudeau, and I live at 12 Gregg Street. And I wrote a letter to 3 of the counselors via email recently, and I'm going to read that to the community at large if you don't mind. Dear Beverly Council members, this letter is being written cooperatively by and on behalf of the citizens of Beverly who reside on Gregg Street. In reviewing the plans for a proposed gas line installation by National Grid, the residents of Gregg Street have prepared questions and concerns, as well as possible suggestions for conditions for the project. We wanted to present these to you ahead of time of the meeting on Monday, February 5th at City Hall, so you had time to read it and consider them. We will have residents of Gregg Street present at the meeting as well. The questions that residents have are as follows. What will the timeline be for the project? When is the project hoping to start, and what is the possible duration? What are the possible work hours for this project? The residents have some suggestions on conditions for this. Please see below. Could the project planners and managers coordinate the project with the Bridge Street paving project so as to avoid an impasse situation on Gregg Street? See conditions and concerns below. Could the project planners and managers coordinate the project with the repaving of Bridge Street so that Bridge Street is being paved in this area could be looped in and repaved up and over Kernwood Heights, down Carver Street, and Gregg Street from end to end, curb to curb? The possible concerns and conditions residents are raised for this project are as follows. There are 22 children aged 13 and under who live on our street and attend school. We propose that consideration be given for a drop-off times for school, as the Air Ryleside School is just around the corner, and many residents walk to school and many others walk using these streets and parking on these streets to get to school. We ask that work begin at 8:30 a.m. to allow for parents to drop off students at elementary and middle school. One of our residents is a person with heightened medical needs and needs to have access in and out of their house at all times in case of medical emergency. We request that the De Robertis residents at 22 Gregg Street be kept able to have access for this reason. Other residents on the street have jobs that require them to commute at alternative times in the day. Our residents would like clear and previous communication to let us know when our driveways and parking spots will be blocked so we can make arrangements for our vehicles so we're still able to get to work. Our residents would like the repaving of the street not to be patchwork, but to, in the end, be a full repave of the street from curb to curb when the project is complete. We request that sidewalk trenches be replaced with a full panel of concrete, as historically trenches and patches have sunk quickly over time. Our residents request that personal property be respected. For example, a neighbor parked downtown during street construction not long ago and found their car splattered with cement when they returned. Our street is relatively narrow, and we request that the workers be mindful when parking equipment and doing potentially messy work, such as when cutting and ripping pavement and pouring asphalt and concrete. Thank you so much. Once again, our residents are concerned and request that the coordination between Bridge Street repaving project and this gas line project, so that there is efficiency in the work, and so there is not created a situation in which some residents find that they are unable to exit from either direction due to construction that has been restated over and over on our street. The residents request efficiency of work and timeline of the project, so the street is not blocked for longer than necessary, and so the work on the street does not have to happen multiple times over and over again. One last one to add is if our power will be shut off at any point. We have two type 1 diabetics who need their medication refrigerated at all times, and they requested me to mention that tonight at the meeting. So they need prior notice that they are prepared and can move their medication to someplace that will not be shut off. Thank you. Many residents acknowledge and understand that a new pipeline is needed, especially at the intersection of Carver Street and Gregg Street. However, we would very seriously appreciate our questions and concerns being attended to in order for this project to proceed smoothly, both for the city and its residents. I just want to make sure I thank you for the work you do for our city and for advocating for the needs of the residents, especially the residents of Gregg Street. We look forward to being at the meeting tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Trudeau. And I know you mentioned that was a letter that you had written, and I know that it's been shared via the clerk so that all counselors will also have it in writing. So thank you very much. Thank you. Are there other members of the public who hoped to be able to speak in this public hearing this evening? Please. And then we'll go over here. I saw you get up too. If you'd also begin with your name and address for the record, and then similarly, you have up to 3 minutes to go ahead and share with the council.
Yes. I'm Nancy Gillis. I live at number 8 Gregg. I am part of the Gregg Street group that is here, and so I definitely had part and say, and I think Dana did a wonderful job of putting that all together for us. I just wanted to voice again, so you really get it. Our biggest concern, or I'll speak for myself, my biggest concern is the duration of this project. I've heard something of April to October. That's a long time. And it is going to coincide with the Bridge Street project that is now not stopping at all because of the bridge. They're just going on with that. Ryleside is getting increasingly inconvenienced by the projects, the length of time that they're taking to start these projects, come up with ideas to finish the projects. Every day is a treat driving down Bridge Street. Is part of it going to be blocked off because they've decided to close off a section and detour it? There's no communication about this. And it's just a really big inconvenience. And now you're talking about ripping up 3 streets right by a school, starting the Bridge Street project. I mean, I feel like we might as well just quit our jobs and just bunker down in our houses, because I don't know how we're going to get anywhere. And the traffic it then causes on 62, and we all have heard all these things a million times. But I really, really hope that the people planning this project are going to really consider ways to expedite it, ways to have it not take so long, and ways to not have it interfere with our everyday lives. That's about it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gillis. Appreciate your time and your being here with us. If you also would start with your name and address for the record.
Sure.
And then you also have up to 3 minutes to address the council.
My name is Amy Sarkowski, Szarkowski. I live at 28 Gregg Street, which is right at the corner of Gregg and Carver, where a lot of this gas smell has been happening, and we're certainly aware of the need to address it. I want to just bring to the attention the challenges that I and other neighbors have had in contacting National Grid and getting a reply. I have a screenshot of a call that I made trying to get through to customer service, and I was on hold for 57 minutes, at which point then I was cut off. I wrote to National Grid, shared my concern, and got a 1-sentence reply saying, "We're sorry about that, there's a lot of calls coming in." So I just worry about the responsiveness of National Grid. This was not pertaining to this particular thing. This was a call from about a week and a half ago. But it has been my experience with previous calls with National Grid, but I now have a screenshot, so I don't know if you enter things into evidence or if that's how this works. I have no idea. But I just want to share that concern, and thank you for your work.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sarkowski. And if you'd like to send your picture to the clerk, we can share that with the council as well. Thank you. If you would begin with your name and address for the record, then you have up to 3 minutes to address the council.
Thank you, Councilor Flowers. Lauren Visnick, 39 Middlebury Lane. I wish to reiterate the concerns around the construction relative to school and the start of construction and giving children, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, not as a official school committee member, although I'll tell you that I will get complaints in my box if families can't get their children to school on time. And so if we can shift the start time, I think normal construction time is like 7, right? And our elementary schools start right around 8. So the other thing I want to ask is, what is going to be the duration of the project, and will it be delayed because of lack of details? So several of the city councilors were at a different meeting where some construction is on hold because they can't get a detail. And so when that happens and construction then is elongated, it's just that much more of a burden on the residents. So if there's some other way to provide a detail, bring in a private detail or whatever, if that can be addressed, if we can either be assured that we're going to get a Beverly police detail so that this construction can get done and out of the way of the schools as soon as possible, or if there's some other alternative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Visnick. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak in the public hearing this evening? Oh, Ms. Gills, can I have you come back? Sorry, just for anyone watching on BevCam, they can only hear us if we're.
Oh, so sorry.
No, that's okay. If you don't mind just repeating.
Yeah, I wanted a little, I hadn't heard that, and I find that interesting, so a little more detail on what she means about not being able to get, I assume you mean like police detail for these projects?
Yes, I'm definitely not an expert, but I can just tell you that, and I think other counselors may also have experienced, that because there are so many different projects happening, any road work that requires detail work, sometimes there's not enough detail officers to be able to take the details. And so if there's not a detail for work that requires it, the construction can't happen at that planned moment.
Okay, so I understand that piece, oh,
I'm
I'm
going to go to
sorry.
Councilor Rotundo. I think he might have more to elaborate.
Okay,
I just wanted, because I have had a lot of conversations with you, and one of the things that we are exploring is, I know you said 8:30, I would like to condition and look at 9 o'clock, because what I'm looking at is the traffic that we have, the vehicular traffic in the morning and the afternoon, but we're squeezing the Kernwood Heights over now to Livingstone. So I want you to know, it is aware, we are going through the process that we will have the opportunity to possibly put the conditions on National Grid for the project. So I just don't want you to think that everything you've stated in this, it has been coming up in that. So in regards to the detail, please, because there are so many projects, unfortunately, I know the police department goes outside of the city as well to try to get additional police officers to work on them. It's just, what they can get is what they get.
I guess, and being a very inexperienced person in these processes, I will readily admit, I guess my concern or my question is, why are we spreading ourselves so thin? And why aren't we prioritizing projects? Like, if this is a priority and National Grid is saying it has to be done, and neighbors are smelling gas, so obviously it has to be done, that to me is a priority. So therefore, you should be prioritizing the manpower to get this project done in a timely manner. And what are the other projects that are going on that are as important as this that maybe couldn't be stopped for a period of time to get this project done? I think that's really important, and I think that's part of the city's issue, is they got too much going on and they're not prioritizing in some areas where the priority should be. If an emergency comes up, in my opinion, and I know this is, again, a very novice opinion, but in my opinion, drop everything else, let's get this done. The Hall Whitaker Bridge, temporary bridge, and I know the state's involved, that should not, a temporary bridge should not be coming up in 2027. I'm sorry. I've lived in Ryleside in my home for 25 years, and that bridge has been falling apart almost since I lived there. So the fact that it had to get emergently closed by the state, and we were not prepared to whip our butts into shape and get that thing going faster, is amazing to me. That is separate from the gas main. But it's just an overall view of how it looks to the residents. Like, where are your priorities? There should be detail for this project if it's an emergent project where gas is leaking and National Grid is saying it has to be done. period. Thank you for listening, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Gillis. Councilor Rotundo.
Madam President, may I ask Diane a question, just because the safety concern was brought up, and I know there was smelling. But what you're looking for right now is specifically a grant of location with the idea that you're aware of the gas leak going on. Is it a high priority, knowing that that's existing, that there's an imminent threat? And I'm not looking for you to, I'm just trying to make sure that they're aware that this is specifically to the grant of location to connect those two smaller pieces of piping, from what I've been told by our engineer department.
Right.
But coincidentally, there's also the smell of gas in that area as well, which I'm hoping will also be addressed as the project is going forward. Is that?
That's correct.
A quick, easy summary of that?
That is correct, yeah. It's, the urgency for this project is the leak history in that area, and that's why those two streets are being addressed right now. And if there's a gas leak there, it's, I'm sure it's been investigated, someone's called it in. It's not emergent yet. Grade 3 leaks are just monitor leaks, but eventually they do turn into an actionable leak, and we're trying to get rid of all of the leaks on those two streets.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cuddy. Thank you, Councilor Rotundo. We will be continuing this public hearing. Were there any other members of the public? Please. So if you would begin, name and address for the record, and then up to 3 minutes to address the council.
Won't need 3.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. John Powers, 32 Carver Street, Beverly. My house is located where National Grid has visited multiple times. They've dug up the street already twice. So I am right at the junction of where fellow neighbors are smelling gas. I'm kind of disappointed in the fact that National Grid is here and doesn't have an idea of a possible timeline as to when we can look forward to having this done, because they need to get more answers. I thought they'd have a little bit more information than what she's provided. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Powers. Please. I know you've heard me say this, but begin with your name and address for the record if you would, and then you have up to 3 minutes to address the council.
Sure. I'm Megan Digangi, Digangi. I live at number 6 Greg Street. And I just want a couple of clarification questions, because I too expected more information from National Grid this evening. My concerns aren't as huge, but I work from home all the time, so we need, in my opinion, much more detailed reports than what we got in the mail. This is really hard to read. I do not understand what the work actually is going to be, as well as more information around when the work will happen, how long it will last, what kinds of power outages we should expect. I don't have things that need to be refrigerated, but I am required to be online from 9 to 5 every day. And I'm not the only one on the street that works from home. There are at least 6 or 7 of us, and that's just on Greg Street. And we really should have more information at this point. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ganji. Councilor Rotundo.
Madam President, just for simple clarification again to the residents, and I'm sorry to call you again, Mrs. Cuddy, but this is gas work, not electrical work, correct? So I know that there are concerns with the electrical work, but there's no talk of any power being shut off. It's strictly gas work, and I'm assuming if there is to be gas shut off in the process, that you'll give them ample amount of time. And I know we, up in Councilor St. Hilaire's area, there was an issue with the gas there, but you would also follow up to make sure that all pilots were lit and everything of that nature, correct?
Correct, yes. There will be a gas service interruption for approximately 30 to 45 minutes per building, per residence, for them to switch it over to the new line. And there's no electric service being disconnected.
And when that happens, someone from National Grid would go in to relight the pilots on the
Exactly.
stoves, and as well as the gas water heaters and all of those things, correct?
Correct.
And that will be communicated once the determination of the date, whether it's through the city council or the engineer department, which I'm assuming may be the second half of this public hearing.
Right.
So just to be clear, there's nothing to do with electrical work, it's strictly gas work, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam
Councilor.
President.
Thank you, Ms. Cuddy. I was going to say, and I know it seems strange, but all your questions have to be directed to me, so it can't be back and forth in a public hearing. I know it seems unusual, but you
No,
just
that's
direct
totally
everything
fine.
to me.
No,
I
it's
know.
totally fine, and it's
Okay.
online. I don't want to seem like the one that keeps getting up. So In relation to the gas shut-off, so would that, I'm assumingly we'd have to all be home to have it turned back on? So for those of us that are gone during the day, like, how would that work? You know, would you set up a time with people to like, hey, we'll be there at 5? That type of thing. Were you going to say something to that? All right.
Counselor Spang.
Hi, my name is Danielle Spang. I'm the counselor for Ward 2. We have similar gas work happening in Ward 2 right now.
Okay.
So I have a small amount of understanding of how it works, and it's after the project is all the way done. So you'd know they would have finished in the road.
Gotcha.
And then they are gonna, at least in our project, door knock, and then they'll also call people who they're not able to meet when they're door knocking.
Okay.
And scheduling it in advance. So you'll know the date and time that they're gonna do your house.
Okay.
And they shut it off from where it's going in now, and then they turn it on to where it's gonna come from. So it's all in the same 15 to 20 minutes or
Okay,
35.
so you can plan ahead.
But yeah, it's a ways away, not
Okay.
anytime soon.
Which also leads me to a question about, we were kind of in our Greg Street group chat, talking about, there's also been discussion of the change of meters and needing those meters to be in the house. And is that part of this project? And is that gonna be a whole other thing if there was concerns about people's yards being dug up, if the line has to come into the house? This letter that went out about changing out the meters, this is more of a National Grid question, obviously.
Yeah.
You have something for that
I do.
too?
Okay.
Fantastic.
The meters is because I believe the current line that's in the ground is a low-pressure line.
Okay.
And they're doing replacements with high-pressure lines.
Okay.
It's, I don't know the technical, I'm not an engineer,
Me neither.
but the valve or the meter that goes into your house, the way that it gets in there, that part is gonna be outside of your house instead of inside. So
Oh, okay.
at least in the neighborhood where they're working in Goat Hill, they do that placement, and they've been talking to people before placing. So,
Okay. So it's
I'm
not
sure
something
they're
that would
gonna come with
interfere.
all this information when they do their presentation, and you'll learn more about that, but it's not interfering with people's ability to get in and out of their yard or house or anything like that.
Okay. Well, that's good.
It's really for safety. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I think that also, we'll hear about things in the future, and that definitely comes to Dana's excellent point about wanting to make sure there is clear and concise communication as this project goes along, and that, we're not kind of caught off guard. And just one comment I'll make to National Grid about the fact that it's not in an urgent phase yet. I don't think that should matter about the urgency of this project, because we all have seen what happened with the bridge and waiting until that got to an urgent point, and that has not gone well at all. So I think that should not be a factor in the timeframe, the speed in which the project's done. I don't think we need to wait for it to get to an urgent point. I think we should just do it efficiently, and be done with it. Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
promise that is the last time I'm speaking.
You're fine. Thank you, Ms. Gillis. Were there any other members of the public who wish to speak this evening, knowing this won't be your last opportunity, because as I mentioned, we will be continuing the hearing. We'll hear more from National Grid at that point. We will also keep public comment open, so there'll be another opportunity for members of the public. Councilor Bowen.
There we go. So I just wanted to clarify, and it may be something the city solicitor's office may be able to weigh in on now or the next time around, but we see a lot of requests for electrical work, underground, above ground poles, and we see some requests for gas work, but other types of gas work, National Grid is able to move ahead with their plans. They notify the engineering department and the residents. And my understanding was that when it is a replacement of existing facilities, they're able to just go in. They've already gotten a grant of location to open the ground in that place and have gas work done. And so it's just sort of a replacement follow-up. but when it's going to be a new type of line or in a new location, it comes before the council. Those are the types of projects that we're able to have these discussions and residents have more of a voice with National Grid. But just wanted to clarify that my understanding was correct, and knowing that there are residents in Ward 2 and Ward 6, especially who've had a lot of gas work lately or have some starting this week, that, you know, they still have the opportunity to connect with National Grid, but we don't have the same process for those projects.
Thank you, Councillor Bellin. Mr. Dole, you look like you're ready to get up. Our Assistant City Solicitor, Jesse Dole. And Mr. Dole, I apologize, I didn't recognize that you were here earlier, so thank you for being here with us.
I did not take it personally.
Thank you.
It is our understanding that a new line would require a granted location. So I'm not, without National Grid would probably be able to give you more information at the next meeting about what they're actually doing.
Thank you, Mr. Dole. Thank you, Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to pose the question that Ms. Gillis had mentioned earlier directly to you, Ms. Cuddy, and I apologize if I missed this. At this point, is there a time estimate for how long this work would take?
Yes, it's approximately, depending on conditions and weather and things like that, but they estimate at least a week on each street to put in the main, and then a week to tie over all the services. Kernwood Heights is more like rocky, so that might take a little bit more. So anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
In total duration.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Councillor Houseman. Push harder than you think. There you go.
Yeah, I just want to observe that in Ward 4, near my own residence, I received from National Grid a flyer that said the work would take about, the proposed work along the streets that I was at, lived near, would take approximately 6 weeks. It turned out, because of the ledge in the area, to take closer to 5 months. So I have learned to take with a grain of salt estimates from National Grid, and so I think getting clarification around the soil conditions that are specific to your location would be very pertinent in understanding whether or not those estimates are actually realistic. So.
Thank you, Councillor Houseman. Councillors, any other questions or comments from members of the council at this point? Again, knowing that we're not closing the hearing this evening, we will continue it. With that, I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing, recess it tonight, and continue it to our February 20th meeting at 7:45 p.m.
Moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0. So we will recess the public hearing, not close. There's a misspeak. From this evening to February 20th, 7:45. We will continue to take public comment. We will also have further update, more of a presentation from National Grid. Thank you to the members of the public who came this evening. Thank you for your time and also for sharing your comments with us. It's always incredibly helpful and really important to hear from members of the public. And so we'll continue and have more time for public comment on the 20th. Thank you. It will be here, yes, sorry, here in council chambers, yes. With that, I think we need to pick back up with reports from committees where we had left off. Thank you again, everyone.
To borrow $14,416,700 to pay costs regarding Beverly Public Library main branch. Set a public hearing on February 26th at 7:45 p.m.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing for February 26th at 7:45 p.m.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 9-0. And so for those who are watching, that public hearing is on the proposed HVAC work to be done at the public library.
Order number 21 from the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a reappointment for Pauline Texera to serve as Director of Human Resources. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this reappointment.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 43, to the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $26,500 grant from the National Environmental Health Association grant program to enable the Beverly Health Department to design a food safety program that best suits our needs to achieve conformance with the retail program standards. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 24. The Committee on Public Services, to whom for the matter regarding a reappointment for Aaron Henry to serve as a Town of Danvers representative on the Beverly Airport Commission, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this reappointment.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 47, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding a National Grid petition 302-94623 to install electric conduits on Rantoul and Lennox Street and a new two-way manhole 935 on Lennox Street. Have considered said matter and set a public hearing for March 11th at 7:30 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended, March 11th, 7:30 PM.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 48, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding a petition 306-65817 to install one SO pole on Loth Street. Have considered said matter and set a public hearing for March 11th at 7:40 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended, March 11th, 7:40 PM.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0.
Order number 49, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding a petition 308-67397 to install electric conduits on Cabot Street. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council set a public hearing on March 11th at 7:45 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended, March 11th, 7:45 PM.
So moved.
Oops, sorry. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 50, the Committee on Public Services, to whom referred the matter regarding petition 293-61213 to install one JO pole on Balt Street. Have considered the matter, and that is to set a public hearing on March 11th at 7:50 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set the public hearing as recommended, March 11th, 7:50 PM.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 51, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding petition 302-94624 to install one JO pole on Lennox Street. Have considered said matter, and they set a public hearing for March 11th at 7:55 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended, March 11th, 7:55 PM.
So moved.
All those in favor? Thank you. Carries 9-0.
Order number 35 from the Public Services Committee, a letter regarding Public Service Committee upcoming topics for discussion, to whom refer the matter regarding, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council receive this and place it on file.
I would entertain a motion to receive and place on file as recommended.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0. That's it. Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. So our next regular meeting will be February 20th. That is a Tuesday because of the President's Day holiday on Monday. So just for anybody who's following our usual schedule, it's a Tuesday rather than a Monday. That will be at 7:00 PM. That'll be here in council chambers. We did just set 2 public hearings for that evening. One is a new public hearing that we set earlier for 7:30 PM, and the other is the continuation of the public hearing on the National Grid petition that we just heard, and that will be at 7:45 PM. We do have a public hearing that we just set for a special meeting on February 26th. Special meeting will begin at 7 PM. The public hearing is set for 7:45 PM that evening. So just for anyone following along, members of the public, to be able to have those in their calendar. Are there other announcements or reminders from the council?
Thank you. The Public Services Committee is planning to meet next Monday at 7, so on our off night, to discuss snow and ice removal, how it's going so far this winter, and happy to receive any ideas, suggestions, or questions from the public that we can discuss in that meeting, but it will be a committee meeting in here. It won't be on BevCam, but it should be cross-posted with Committee of the Whole for other councilors to attend.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bowen. Are there other announcements? Oh, Councillor Houseman.
The Subcommittee on Legal Affairs will be meeting at 7:30 next Monday also.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other announcements or reminders from councillors? Councillor Spang.
There's a community conversation at the Cabot on February 15th called Talking Trash that the Waste Direction Committee and Green Beverly are co-hosting.
Oh, Councillor Spang, will you just repeat your announcement?
Yep. There's a community conversation at the Cabot on Thursday, February 15th. It's free and open to everyone to attend. It's about talking trash, a conversation on waste systems with local experts, put forward by the Waste Reduction Committee and Green Beverly.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other announcements from councillors? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0, and we are adjourned. Thanks to BevCam, and thank you to the members of the public who joined us this evening as well.